Hey guys, welcome to today's video, which is everything we did during our 3 days in Rome, Italy. On our first day, we arrived around 10 a.m. and left our bags at the Airbnb, which was right across from the Basilica de Santa Maria Maggiore. I'm gonna try so hard not to butcher these names, I'm so sorry in advance. But as soon as we were done, we went to join the line of people waiting to pass through the Porta Santa, the Holy Door. Since we went on January 2nd, it was the beginning of the Jubilee, which has taken place in Rome since the year 1300, every 50 years, and then every 25 years from 1470. This and the other holy doors in Rome are a symbol of reconciliation with God and a new beginning, which if you pass through, you piously gain the plenary indulgence. While we did have to pass through a back check and security, it's free to visit and I definitely recommend it as it was beautiful. I feel like I could talk so much about this basilica and its history, but all I will say is that the legend is that the Virgin appeared before the Pope Liberius with instructions for building the church, that the shape of the floor was designed based on a miraculous snowfall, and that it holds the relic of the crib or manger of the Nativity of Jesus Christ, which I'll point later in the video. Here is the relic of the crib or manger that I was talking about. This was my favorite room, and I tried to show you by zooming in, but you can see God at the top in the middle of the dome. As you will see throughout this video, many of these churches and basilicas hold the remains of various popes. Here's an example. And yet another example of what I was saying. If you walk through the gift shop, you'll find the restrooms outside as well as a museum that is also free to visit, so it's a quick visit, I recommend it. You'll find a variety of ecclesiastical furnishings, furniture, vestments, ornaments, paintings, and prints linked to the liturgy, history, and identity of the first Marian shrine in the West. There is a lot to see, so I'll show you a couple of snippets. Since it was our first day and we were tired but eager to see Rome, we took a golf cart tour of the city by hopping around some of the biggest monuments without going inside of them. I thought this was a perfect way to see so much on the first day without having to do all the walking after a long flight, but of course still taking the time during the next 2 days to visit them personally. This was one of my favorite stops, which is Circus Maximus, an ancient Roman chariot racing stadium and mass entertainment venue in Rome that could accommodate over 150,000 people. In the background you'll find Palatine Hill with some of the structural remains, and apparently they had just had a free New Year's Eve concert, so they were in the process of tearing down the stage. Afterwards, we went over to Parco Savello, where you'll find an orange garden and a beautiful view of the city, including St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican. This is the temple of Hercules Victor. This seems to be the Colosseum, but is actually a theater at the bottom and luxury apartments at the top. These are the remains of a house, and you can still see what was painted on the walls. This is the infamous wedding cake, or the Monumento Vittorio Emanuele II, that is apparently hated by many Italians, or at least the ones that we talked to. And we then swung by Piazza Navona, that had a Christmas market going on. Afterwards, we swung by Sant'Eustachio, a Roman Catholic church that apparently has a deer head on the top because he had a history of cheating. This kind of makes more sense if you know the word Spanish cuernos, which translates to both cheating and horns. We then went to the Church of St. Ignatius of Loyola, which was one of my favorites because of the Baroque style. If you have TikTok, you might recognize the ceiling because there's a mirror in the middle that is pointing to the ceiling, and if you wait in line and pay, you can take a picture of yourself in the mirror with the ceiling as your background. And fun fact, the dome I'm about to show you is not real, and it's a painted illusion. Something prevalent in many of the churches and basilicas visited was a nativity scene towards the entrance/exit. This is Piazza Colonna, which has a marble column of Marcus Aurelius that offers a visual narrative of his campaign against Germanic tribes along the Danube River. And of course, we swung by a really busy Fontana di Trevi and finished the night with some pizza that I guess I was too tired to film. But during our second day in Rome, we had a jam-packed itinerary, starting off with our visit to the Colosseum. Those cobblestones apparently are the ones that were used in ancient Rome. And then we saw the Arch of Constantine, an arch dedicated to the Emperor Constantine the Great that I'm so surprised is still very well preserved. Once inside, it was interesting to see how the walls and columns looked after pieces of marble were taken throughout the years, and I don't know why, it was just so breathtaking to me seeing the grandeur and being inside. Of course, you just saw the obligatory cross that has been put in many pagan monuments, and those white seats over there are part of the senatorial podium that was reconstructed and offers an example of how the rest of the seats would look with the original marble. My favorite part was walking through this gate and feeling like you were walking into the belly of the beast that is the Colosseum. And not only was I thinking of Gladiator, but my queen, Lizzie McGuire movie. Oh, and these ruins apparently are the gladiator tunnels where both gladiators and animals would rise up to the arena floor via elevators. After the Colosseum, we walked towards the Pantheon with various stops, such as that old courthouse you saw. And this is Trajan's Market, believed to be the first covered shopping mall in history, which currently holds the Museum of Imperial Forums. This is Trajan's Column that also commemorates history. And we then visited the Basilica of the 12 Holy Apostles. I'm not sure what this was called or where it is. I tried to find it, but on the walls there are images and words of traits that men believed women should have. Some were okay and some were kind of ridiculous. We then made it to the Pantheon, a Roman temple that was converted into a Catholic church with a perfect dome that has a central opening, an oculus to the sky. It's one of the world's largest unreinforced concrete domes, and they apparently say that when it rains, water doesn't come in, but as you can see on the floor, there is a drain. Near the Pantheon, we had lunch at this restaurant. The food was delicious and the service was top notch. I had a matriciana and swapped a bit for my sister's carbonara, which was the star of the trip. At one point, I ate like 2 carbonaras on the same day because I became obsessed. But after lunch, we went to the Vatican City. There is a lot to see inside in some of these rooms, and you couldn't stop to look around. You just have to constantly be moving, which was a minor stress. But throughout, you'll find a lot of sculptures, bathtubs, and more that have been, how do I say this lightly, taken from their original spots around Rome. There was this cool room that was filled with tapestries, one of them where Jesus Christ's eyes literally followed you around the room, which is something I've seen done before in paintings, but never in tapestry. But my favorite room was the gallery of maps that contained painting topographical maps of Italy with a beautiful ceiling covered in painting. Our next stop was a Sistine Chapel, an absolutely breathtaking experience where you can't take any pictures or videos, but once outside, it was time to go into St. Peter's Basilica, which is another spot in Italy where you'll find a Porta Santa as part of the Jubilee. For this one, you're kind of forced to go through it since it's the only way in and they let you go in through groups. I highly doubt my videos do any justice to how grand this basilica is, and I kind of lost track of how long we were in there for because it's genuinely huge with a lot to see, including a nativity scene that was sent from Oaxaca, Mexico, and a room that contains a list of all the popes in history as well as many of the pope's remains. Since it was still Christmas, as Italy celebrates until January 6th, Epiphany, there was a beautiful yet skinny Christmas tree in the plaza and 100 nativity scenes that were created by artists from all over the world. Near the Vatican, we stopped by to get what has been the best cannoli and tiramisu I've ever had in my life, and I highly recommend you stop by. And we also had dinner nearby in Arlu, and you guessed it, I got pasta carbonara. On our third day in Rome, we started off with an early visit to Fontana di Trevi when they opened up to avoid crowds, and I definitely recommend doing so. Right across from the fountain, you'll find a lot of shops and restaurants, so we stopped by in a couple of them and grabbed snacks such as candy, cornetos, which are croissants, and I'll show you eventually, but what became a favorite stop for us because they use real Italian Nutella is Venci. This is Venci. Their hot chocolate and their crepes were delicious. As if that wasn't enough, we also stopped by Sant'Eustachio Cafe for a coffee as it was recommended to us, and I'll be honest, it was okay. Afterwards, we visited Piazza Navona that had a super cute Christmas market going on. And as you can see, for some reason, all of my clips of what was being sold had flashing lights. So I'm just going to show you guys some still pictures of the cute items being sold. One of my favorite things though about the market was the mulled wine. I didn't get all the sides of the fountain, but this is the Fountain of the Four Rivers. And we then visit Campo de Fiori, which had a market with various items such as food, clothing, and more. After the market, we got up close and personal with one of Italy's biggest foes, the wedding cake, or the monument of Vittorio Emanuele II, which was built to honor the first king of a unified Italy. We seem to have arrived at a good time because we got to see their changing of the guards. And as you walk up many steps, almost at the top, you get a really nice view of the city. And I say almost top because on our way out, we saw this elevator that apparently takes you even higher, but we were all too hungry to do that. Instead, we went to a restaurant right next to the Opera House, Trattoria Pinzeria Tosca, which was so good. Can you guess what I ate? Yep, carbonara. After lunch, we visited the famous Spanish Steps, which you'll recognize if you've seen Roman Holiday. And for dinner, we ate at Come una volta pasta e vino, which was one of my favorite meals in Rome, as you were able to kind of create your own pasta by choosing the pasta style and the sauce, and the desserts were off the charts. And that's it for our time in Rome, Italy. Make sure to stick around for the next video, which is a hotel and room tour of where we stayed in Rome, followed by what we did during our time in Florence, Italy. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!